Good morning, guys. It is January 3rd. I know I've been absent for a few weeks, but I was in the Bahamas with my family celebrating our annual Christmas trip. And you probably think that I should have a better tan, and I should, but it was pretty cloudy and overcast and raining with only a few days of sunshine. But it means I didn't burn, so yay! Today, I want to talk a little bit about my relationship with my mom. Many of you probably think because of these videos that I do that I don't have a relationship with my mom. And the truth is over the last 12 years, maybe a little longer, I have been repairing that relationship with my mom. It's taken quite a bit of time. In my 20s, I was an extremely angry person and didn't have much to do with my mom. But since I've been on this path to growth, I've realized that holding on to the anger isn't doing any good for me. And the truth is I think my mom did the very best she could with the tools she was given. You see, my mom has always had a good sense of being there for us. And when I say that, I've had 3 children and she has been at every single one of their births. She wouldn't have missed it for anything. She watches my dog every time we go on vacation, which is really important to me. If I ever were to call her and tell her that I need her to be here, I honestly think she would show up. I say all those things because, again, I think as many mistakes as my mom made with us growing up and as children, I honestly do think she did the very best with the tools she was given. She was forced to drop out of high school as a young girl to care for her little brothers, which kind of correlates to me taking care of my brothers, I think. I think there was some sort of sense in her mind, or I don't know what the right word is, but connection to me taking care of my siblings and that kind of being a normal thing because that's what she had to do. Through all of these 3.5 years of counseling, I've honestly come to realize that every decision we make is because of something that's probably happened to us or an experience that we've had. My mom had my little sister, who is the same age as my son. Actually, she just turned 21. And my grandma also got custody of my uncle's daughter when she was just a newborn. So they had raised these 2 children, and she's 21, I think, raised these 2 children together. And watching the relationship between my mom and my grandma and it being so convoluted and filled with jealousy and comparison, it made me never want to be like that. Try my best to not compare myself to other people. I struggled with that an awful lot in my 20s, probably even in my early 30s. I struggled with that. It wasn't until I really dove deep into my counseling sessions and my counselor would say, you have to find little Alisha. And I honestly thought she was so crazy. I would get so angry every time I would go there week after week, and I would go to her with something and say, why did I react this way? Or why am I like this? And she would just say, well, it's because you haven't completely forgiven yourself and found that feeling of what you were feeling, and basically said that it's going to be okay. I'll explain that a little bit more. So one time I went in and I was really angry with somebody, and I told her, I said, why did I react that way? Like, this is what I really wanted to say, but I couldn't say that. And she said, well, remember how I told you you need to go and find pictures of yourself when you were a little girl and put them in frames, which I did, and look at that little girl and basically tell her, you don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to be fearful that something is going to happen. You don't have to always be in survival mode. And once you can really dig deep, once I could dig deep with that, the fear and the response would be gone. And that's something that I still work on daily, trying to figure out when I come out sideways or whatever my response is that maybe I'm not proud of. I really try to take time and think, what's the feeling inside of me right now? Why am I reacting that way? And is this the person that you want to be? And most of the time, it comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of jealousy. I had a lot of friends growing up. In fact, most of my friends had parents that were very involved. They ran a very tight ship, and I didn't really have that growing up. So I look back at those things and try to put myself in perspective again, to remind myself that's not who I have to be anymore. So going back to my relationship with my mom, sometimes I still get really angry, and I'm working on that. But over the last 10 years, we've been able to have a better relationship. We're growing together. I'm actually taking her for her 60th birthday to Italy in May, which is really exciting. I constantly talk to my husband about being a little fearful on what that's going to look like, and how do I make sure that I'm not going to get irritated, and what am I supposed to do? And I think it all comes back to expectations. And you know, my counselor has really worked on me with, every time I do get angry, it's typically, or frustrated, it's typically because I had an expectation. And as much as I would constantly say, well, no kidding, it's just common sense, the truth is any one of my frustrations or anger outbursts usually come because I have an expectation, whether it's an expectation of my mom, an expectation of my husband, an expectation of my children, an expectation of my clients. It's my fault. And something on my wall says, an expectation that hasn't been communicated is a thought. And that's really true. You know, oftentimes I go through in my own head and think, well, he or she should have known that. And if I can just wipe expectations from my brain, then I honestly think and know that I'll be a happier person, and I'll be able to be a more understanding person, which is always what I strive for. I went and saw my friend Dr. Michelle yesterday, and she said, because we were both talking about how I get frustrated when people have New Year's resolutions, because I'm the type that if I want to start something, or if I think something needs to happen in my life, I don't wait for a certain date. I start it then. And she said, you know, I understand that, and I kind of believe the same thing. And I usually start each year with a word. And if I can live by a word and really think of a word that I want to live my life by in that year, then I'm happy. And her word this year is more, which I thought, that is a pretty incredible thing. More love, more relationships, more deeper connections, more fun, more clients. My dog wants something. So I would like to start that and do something like that. I'm the type, again, that as soon as I decide to stop something or to start something, I'm pretty hardcore about it. My husband typically gets a little frustrated, or maybe not frustrated is the right word, but scared, because I do have that ability just to turn off and turn on, which has brought a lot of joy to my life, yet brought a lot of pain as well. So I just wanted to do a quick video, which I know probably turned a little bit off from my mom, but I do know that she does her very best with the tools that she was given, and hopefully through all of my growth, maybe I'll be able to encourage her to also learn new tools, which I'm constantly doing and trying to strive for, and hope that we can all continue to change. So I just wanted to say that it's never too late to become the person that you want to be. And try to stop having expectations in 2020, and I promise your life will be much happier. So choose joy today and give joy today.